You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Trump's historically massive military blunder reveals security experts based on an article by Nick Hilden. Trump didn't use up missiles. He spent them like political theater. The real story. Reuters reports that Trump's 5-month war with Iran has burned through most of the U.S. Army's long-range precision missile stockpile, while Patriot and THAAD interceptors have also been sharply depleted. Military leaders warned the president for weeks. The White House is now in tense internal discussions about the consequences. That is the factual skeleton. The political meaning is worse. This is not an accident of war. It is the predictable result of a president treating American military capacity as a consumable input for his own escalation. Who decided? The institutional power sits with the president, not with the commentators performing irony about him. Trump chose the war. Trump chose the tempo. Trump chose to spend billion-dollar weapons systems until the Pentagon had virtually all of them exhausted. The military can warn him, brief him, and hedge around the damage. It cannot claim innocence when the chain of command is functioning exactly as designed. One-man orders. The machine burns through stock, and everyone else is left to explain the shortage after the fact. The problem with tense discussions. The reporting on tense discussions in the White House is classic misdirection. It turns an act of political and strategic depletion into a managerial drama. The language suggests confusion, as if the administration stumbled into scarcity rather than manufacturing it. But the sources in the story describe weeks of warnings, not ignorance. This was known. It was discussed. It was still allowed to continue until the arsenal was thinned out enough to force hesitation. Readiness is not the point they pretend it is. Officials will frame the shortage as a readiness issue, which is true but incomplete. Readiness is the excuse language of institutions that do not want to name power. The deeper fact is that Trump's war policy has made the United States more dependent on riskier piloted bombing missions because the safer standoff systems were expended too quickly. That is not strategic brilliance. It is waste disguised as dominance. A state that burns through its own precision munitions to satisfy an impulsive campaign does not project strength. It exposes how brittle its capacity really is. The cost is already political. The source notes that these weapons matter not just for Iran, but for Ukraine too. That matters because the depletion is not abstract. It spills across theaters, degrading the state's ability to sustain multiple commitments while still pretending to be omnipotent. Trump's war has not merely produced a headline about shortages. It has forced the regime of American military power to reveal its limits in public. The pattern. This is the recurring structure of authoritarian politics and civilian clothing: reckless escalation, self-inflicted damage, then retrospective spin from people who want the damage to sound accidental. Trump does not need to win cleanly if he can keep everyone else busy managing the wreckage. The story is not that a president found himself short on missiles. The story is that he spent them, knew the consequences were coming, and still pressed on. That is what decay looks like when it is run from the Oval Office. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article. With the automated voice of Kristen, thanks for listening.